Hello my fellow gamers and techies alike, welcome to DigitalDan. Today we're going to be doing a slightly different video from the usual. We are going to be venturing off into the realm of top 10s and doing our own top 10 of the most anticipated games of 2016. Now, please remember these are our own opinions and so they may be different from yours. If they are, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section below and tell me what are your top 10 favorite video games that are coming out in 2016. What are you most excited for? What are you building the hype for? Anyways, let's get right into this top 10 list, starting off with number 10. Now, coming in at number 10, we've got South Park: The Fractured Butthole. Now, I can't even say this title while making a straight face. It is just the funniest title for any game that I've ever seen. Now, the reason why it's on my top 10, we've got, the great RPG mechanics that we saw in the first game, fantastic dialogue from all of our favorite characters from the South Park series, which I am personally a huge fan of, which is another reason why it's on my top 10. Hilarious story and side missions that you can take part on in this RPG-style game. The original TV show art that we saw in the first game was also being brought over here, so you won't be seeing too much, graphical difference, but you know what, there's no complaints there. It was pretty much perfect in the first one. I have no complaints about that. So essentially, we're just looking at the same as the previous entry, and hopefully it'll come out sometime in 2016. We don't have an official release date, but I will be doing some sort of video, or maybe I'll put it in the description here, when we do find out when it actually is going to be coming out. Now, coming in at number 9, this is one I'm personally pretty excited for, and that is Persona 5. Now, I actually haven't played any of the other Persona games, but I do have some friends, shout out to you, Irvin, which has played, Persona 4 and Persona 3. Now, I would really like to get into this series before I play Persona 5, of course, but it is just a game that looks really good art-wise. I really like the whole entire concept of it, having, following this lifestyle of high school students, which is pretty relatable to me, as I am currently in high school. But all of these kind of things are just going to be reasons why I would like to get into the series and kind of experience it for the first time with Persona 5. I don't believe that you need to play any of the other games in order to experience this one, but if you want to, see more of what the game is probably going to look like, definitely check out the other games as well, just like I'll be doing this year. Now, coming in at number 8 is a game about a boy who must use his wits and smarts to escape a cursed island, and that game is Rime from Tequila Works. Now, this game looks amazing. The art style that it's using is very similar to that of like a Wind Waker / Team Ico style art style. It's super, super nice looking, and I think it's going to be a great addition to 2016 in terms of the indie games we're going to be looking at. It looks very relaxing and peaceful. It was told it was kind of built from the vision up, so the gameplay they've kind of put into the game was built around the whole entire art style and to make it look as pleasant as possible to the eye. It has a really interesting and attaching protagonist as well. I really do want to know more about this boy that we're going to be looking at. Maybe he has some sort of backstory that we'll find out more of. It would be near the top of my list if we knew a little bit more about the game. It's a possible 2016 launch, please. Now, coming in at number 7, we have Mafia 3. It looks like a very, very cool and engaging game with, a time period in the 1960s, which is always a really cool time for a game to be put in. It has GTA-like gameplay where you've got a massive open world with lots of things to do in it. Hopefully, from what we saw in the gameplay trailers recently that have been released, it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool and engaging world. You've got organized crime, which is going to be the main focus of the game, similar to that of the other Mafia games. And let's be honest, organized crime is always cool in games. But also, you got a really cool main protagonist with a backstory, so we're going to hear a little bit more about that, and hopefully the story develops off of that. The release date is hopefully by end of 2016 is what we're hearing so far. It could be delayed into 2017, but hopefully they stick to it and end up releasing it by the end of 2016. Now, coming in at number 6, we have Blizzard's Overwatch. Now, I am a sucker for competitive games with over about 2,000 hours in League of Legends, although I'm still gold for whatever reason. Not going to talk too much about that. But, it's got a really, really cool competitive vibe in it. It's a nice competitive shooter that changes things a little bit up. It's got, mobile-like gameplay, and it's not really your traditional Call of Duty type shooter. It's something that, is a little bit different and kind of plays by its own rules. It has huge amounts of teamwork put into it, where teamwork completely pays off with team compositions and overall communication, which is all very important in this game. So it's going to look like a pretty cool game to pick up with some friends and have a good time with. Even if you don't want to go into it solo, it'll be really fun to meet some new people and talk to them over the chat and maybe, strategize, and hopefully it'll be a better community than some other competitive games. League of Legends. Now, this game is slated to release by the end of 2016, maybe early 2017, depending how development's going. Although they've just released, a massive beta that I didn't get into and a lot of other people didn't get into. But it looks, like it's almost finished. It's got a few things that have to be worked out. Some balance changes probably are going to be put in place by the end of the time that they're going to be able to release it. But essentially, we're looking at a late 2016, early 2017 release. Now, coming in at number 5, we have a personal favorite franchise of mine that I've loved ever since I became a PlayStation fan, and that is the Uncharted series, and its newest edition, Uncharted 4: Thief's End. Now, it's going to be the last Uncharted in the series. It brings, family matters and family ties into the main story, so we'll probably hear a little bit more backstory towards Nathan Drake, our main protagonist. It's got a little bit of a stealth and action combination in its gameplay, which is very similar to the other titles we've seen in the series. The gunplay looks really realistic and fun. It's got, all sorts of movements which are very realistic to actually shooting a gun. I've gotten to play it in the beta when I had my Uncharted Collector's Edition for PS4. It's going to be releasing in April 26, 2016 after a delay, which it was supposed to release in February of 2016. Now, coming in at number 4, we have a PlayStation exclusive slated for the end of 2016, Horizon Zero Dawn. Robot dinosaurs, that is all. No, but really, we've got an interesting main protagonist, a fully open world with lots of nature and all sorts of really interesting visuals to look at. We got some survival and RPG elements that are original and going to be tied into the whole survival of the human race thing against robot dinosaurs, which is a really, really cool concept, and I'm pretty excited to see. But once again, it is slated for release sometime in 2016. Now, coming in at number 3, we have none other than Final Fantasy 15 from Square Enix. Now, this game just looks phenomenal. If you, look at the new Luminous engine they're using, the graphics look amazing. There's huge graphical advancements in the series, which already was a good-looking series to begin with. And honestly, just Final Fantasy in general is a very, very cool series to get into, and them continuing it is going to be really, really cool to see how they take it on this time. It looks a little bit more dark than the other ones. It's less fantasy, more realism, I guess. You've got, all sorts of different guns and swords and stuff that look really more realistic and dark. You've got no more hallways, which many people can rejoice about. Final Fantasy 13 was one of the worst, I would say, in the series, as you kind of just had two directions to go in. You were going either forward or backwards. Even, side to side, you couldn't go very far. You've also got that really cool car, which is going to make for some interesting gameplay. Just, riding around with the boys with the hood down is going to be kind of fun to do. The combat looks super fluid. You've got all sorts of different combos and chains you can do, which I'm sure will come into an RPG factor in some way. The game is looking to be released by the end of 2016, but again, that is not confirmed. There could be some delays. Apparently the game is completely finished. You can play it from start to finish with no problems. Now it's just come down to fixing up little tweaks and doing all sorts of little changes to make sure that the game is at its top performance upon release. Now, coming in at number 2, we have The Last Guardian. Now, this is from a developer called Team Ico. If you haven't heard of them before, definitely check them out. They have 2 other games, Ico and Shadow of the Colossus, which are phenomenal titles and pretty much masterpieces in the gaming industry. If you ever want to get into an argument with someone and they say that video game isn't art, definitely show them Team Ico, because they make art. Their video games are pretty much art. They have, attachment to characters, which is going to be seen with that bird, dog, chicken thing, I guess. Deep stories. It makes you think with some puzzles, but it also gives you a very, very emotional experience to get yourself attached to. Now, this game will hopefully be released in 2016. Again, no guarantees. This game has been announced back when PS3 was releasing titles, and it's just been, a very, very slow process since then. But we did see it at E3 this year, and so hopefully we'll see it again this year, and maybe we'll get some sort of a release date for it. And finally, number 1, my favorite title to look forward to in 2016 is none other than Zelda Wii U. Now, this is a very personal pick of mine, as I am a huge fan of the series, and really this is just my nostalgia glasses coming into play here, where I've just been playing Zelda since, Ocarina of Time came out. It was the first video game I ever played, and so it's just more of a nostalgia for me. It's a possible NX title, which is very exciting, as I really hope they have it as a launch title for the NX. Could definitely help in sales, as I talked about before in another video. I'll actually put up an annotation for you to check it out right above the gameplay that I have here. But we've got, things like a massive world with tons of things to do. They were showing some gameplay footage where, there was apples growing from the trees, all sorts of new gaming mechanics and that sort of things, like, jumping off the horse and things going in slow-mo. It just looks like a really cool game to me and kind of, pulls the string in my heart for the Zelda series. Now, the game is possible release in 2016 at some point, hopefully. But we'll definitely see it on the Nintendo Wii U and possibly NX as well. Anyways, thank you all for watching my top 10 most anticipated video games of 2016. It's one of my videos that I'm most proud of, so hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, and if you didn't, make sure you also hit that dislike button. I like to know when I'm doing something wrong. Either way, if you liked what you saw today and want to see more of it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because there'll be more coming your way. I'll be uploading these kind of videos daily. Thanks for watching. Peace.